super ඕන වැඩකට super.
Hello there, very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1 for the Newsfirst, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan.
And I'm Thiruni Karunaratna. We apologise for the slight delay in the commencement of the news, but let's start off tonight's bulletin with a look at the headlines.
CID seeks court permission to examine accounts of 22 ministers and MPs accused of misusing presidential funds. Former Chief Minister SM Ranjit and his relative sentenced for corruption charges. Agreement reached to accept nomination papers with original birth certificates. Petitions regarding other disrupted local government nominations to be reviewed tomorrow. UNP Chairman Vajira responds to Batalanda, stating that killing in self-defense is justified. Recommendations from the Food Policy and Safety Committee on rice imports. Proposal to remove Deshabandhu from his position to be presented to Parliament on the 8th of April.
On to those stories in detail. The Colombo High Court has sentenced former North Central Province Chief Minister SM Ranjit and his sister-in-law Shanti Chandrasena to 16 years of rigorous imprisonment for corruption. The judgment was delivered by Colombo High Court Chief Judge Aditya Patabandige following a case filed by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption.
SM Ranjit served as the Chief Minister of the North Central Province from the 25th of September 2012 to the 20th of January 2015. During this period, he illegally provided over 2.6 million rupees through fuel orders to his personal secretary, Shanti Chandrasena, despite an existing fuel allowance included in her salary. The Bribery Commission filed the case in November 2021, citing 6 charges, including the misuse of government resources and coercion of government officials. After a lengthy trial, the judge concluded that the prosecution had proven the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. The court found that the defendants had misused 16,784 litres of fuel, violating the Bribery Act. Before sentencing, the Bribery Commission's attorney highlighted that SM Ranjit, as an elected public representative, had misused public funds in a district with a predominantly farming population. Translation of quoted statement by the attorney. Anuradhapura district is relatively underdeveloped, with the majority of its population being farmers. The defendants, as public representatives in such a region, engaged in corrupt activities by misusing public funds. In 2012, the value of the misused funds exceeded 2.6 million rupees, and their current value is even higher. Your Honour, considering the severity of these charges, we request that the defendants be given appropriate punishments. End of translation of quoted statement. In defence, Attorney-at-Law Darshana Kurupu argued that the offence occurred in 2012 and that the defendants had fully cooperated with the trial. He requested leniency in sentencing. Quote from High Court verdict.
This case reveals an economic crime. The first defendant, elected as a public representative, is accountable to the public and committed to serving their needs. Corrupt activities have detrimental effects on the country's economy. Recently, our nation faced a severe economic crisis, causing significant hardship for our people. Such corrupt actions contribute to these economic challenges. Therefore, the court cannot show leniency towards public representatives, government officials and judicial officers facing such charges. They must be given the maximum penalties allowed by law.
End of quote from High Court verdict. Consequently, the court sentenced both defendants to 16 years of rigorous imprisonment. SM Ranjit is the brother of former Minister SM Chandrasena, and Shanti Chandrasena is the wife of SM Chandrasena.
SM Ranjit and SM Chandrasena, who were members of the SLPP, are currently part of the Sarva Jana Balaya. The leader of the party, Dilip Chaivira, shared his views to today's court verdict.
As far as I know, this case was filed against him during the Yahapalana government. It was a time when there was a jungle law and jungle police. This case was filed during that period. When looking at the content of this case, the accusation against him is that he used diesel during a drought period without following proper procedures. The accusation is that he did not follow the correct approval process. Since this is a court verdict, we should not challenge it. However, he will appeal this decision. We are saddened by what happened, but the Sarva Jana Balaya does not bear any responsibility for this matter.
අපි කනගාටු වෙනවා. නමුත් ඒ පිළිබඳ වගකීමක් සර්ව ජන බලයට එල්ල වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
UNP Chairman Bajira Abewardena, speaking in Vaunia, said that self-defense is not a crime. He made this statement in response to allegations regarding the crimes committed at the Batalanda torture chamber during the 1987 to 1990 period.
The Batalanda Commission report. When a government elected by the people is attacked, the government controls it. It does not belong to murder. This is stated in the constitution, not by me. For example, if someone's life is threatened and they defend themselves, it is not considered murder. If someone attacks you and you defend yourself and they die, it is not murder. In English, this is called self-defense, or in Sinhala, Atma Arakshava. Regarding the Batalanda incident, I want to say it is a report of 210 pages. About 150 pages belong to the current government, not us. There is not a single recommendation against Ranil Wickramasinghe.
Over the past 21 days, Newsfirst revealed details mentioned in the Batalanda Commission regarding the crimes that were committed. According to these revelations, various groups were abducted, brought to the Batalanda housing complex, tortured, killed or disappeared. This raises the question of whether these actions were indeed self-defense, as claimed by Vajira Abewardena. According to the Commission report, Earl Sugi Pereira, also known as Sydney, was abducted and detained on the 23rd of March 1990 in a house adjacent to the B7 house where Ranil Wickramasinghe's personal security officer Sudat Chandrasekara lived. In his testimony to the Commission, he stated that he saw two people hanging by their legs in the B8 house with blood flowing from their bodies. On some days, he was dressed in women's clothes and a wig, as revealed in his testimony to the Batalanda Commission. According to Sugi's statement to the Commission, after being detained for several days, then Assistant Superintendent of Police Douglas Pieris arrived at the house and assaulted him. After 22 days, he was taken outside in a jeep, driven by Douglas Pieris himself. Excerpt from the Batalanda report.
On the way, ASP Douglas Pieris told Sugi, "When you go home, you must fulfill a duty for a certain gentleman. If you don't, you will be killed." Sugi asked what the duty was, and Pieris replied, "Your family members know what it is."
End of excerpt. Douglas Pieris' statement indicated that Sugi had to pay 50,000 rupees to lawyer Lakshman Ranasinghe for his release. Is this not a ransom for release from the torture chamber? Former police chief Ernest Pereira revealed details about this incident in his testimony to the Commission. Earl Sugi Pereira's father met the then police chief to seek help for his son's release. Excerpt from former police chief's testimony to the Batalanda Commission.
As I remember, he came and said either Douglas Pieris had taken his son into custody or was about to take him into custody. I don't remember the exact nature of the complaint. What I do remember is that he said they were asking him for 50,000 rupees.
What was the 50,000 rupees for?
He said the lawyer told him that if he paid 50,000 rupees, he would release his son if he was in custody, or prevent him from being taken into custody if he wasn't.
Were these crimes committed in the name of self-defense? Many such incidents have been revealed in the Batalanda Commission report. Shouldn't justice be served for these crimes even now?
If Ranil Wickremesinghe wants to prevent any accusations of misconduct against another individual, the issue we face is who is this related to? Whether it is Vajirabe Wardena or Ranil Wickremesinghe, if they are connected to the recommendations of the Batalanda Commission, or if they are claiming the right to self-defense regarding the accusations related to Batalanda, they must first clearly admit that they were involved in the detentions, torture and killings at Batalanda. Only if they admit to these actions can they claim the right to self-defense. Next, they need to explain what imminent threat to society they were trying to prevent by allegedly torturing and killing young men and women, including Vijay Dasali and Arachi. What harm were these individuals posing to society? These are the questions they need to answer clearly. I believe that if Vajirabe Wardena is trying to say, under Ranil Wickremesinghe's instructions, that the actions at Batalanda were carried out in self-defense, they are essentially admitting that they were involved in the torture and killing of youths, lawyers and journalists at Batalanda. Therefore, through this statement, they are repeatedly confirming their guilt.
ඝාතනය කිරීමට දස වද දීමට ඔවුන් කටයුතු කරා කියන එක ඔවුන් පිළිගන්නවා. ඒක නිසා මේ ප්‍රකාශය තුලින් නැවත නැවතත් මේ සඳහා ඔවුන් වරදකරුවන් යන්න සනාථ වෙනවා කියන එක තමයි මගේ අදහස.
The Bottle of the Commission report. Former soldier Indrananda De Silva, an eyewitness to the Batalanda torture chamber, filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigation Department. He made this complaint stating that he is ready to provide all the evidence he possesses regarding the Batalanda and other torture chambers located in Colombo.
I am ready to reveal what I have seen with my own eyes. There are methods to find the necessary evidence for these matters. If the investigations are conducted truthfully and sincerely, it won't take long to bring those who talk about democracy but are responsible for murders to justice. Therefore, we requested the Criminal Investigation Department to ensure justice is served promptly. It is time to deliver justice for the 60,000 lives lost. This is why we are submitting this petition. What is the government planning to do with the Batalanda Commission report?
Ranil Wickremesinghe's issue was that the report was not tabled and that it was not presented to Parliament. We addressed this in recent days. The report that was tabled will be debated in Parliament on the 10th of this month and again on a parliamentary day in May. Following these debates, we will refer the report to the Attorney General and take maximum legal action possible in accordance with the law.
The party leaders who met today have decided to hold a two-day debate on the Batalanda Commission report. According to the decision made by the party leaders today, the debate is scheduled to take place on the 10th of April and on a date in May. Additionally, the party leaders have decided to present a proposal to Parliament on April 8th to appoint an investigative committee to remove Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakoon from his position.
The meeting of party leaders in Parliament was held this morning under the chairmanship of Speaker Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne. During the meeting, the Speaker announced that a proposal to appoint a committee to remove Inspector General of Police Deshabandhu Tennakoon from his position will be presented to Parliament on the 8th April.
Although there are certain obstacles under the standing orders regarding discussing a matter that is before the Supreme Court, the Speaker can take a decision and present the proposal as an alternative. However, the government believes that it should be taken up as a proposal from the ruling party itself. Therefore, it was approved.
Meanwhile, Namal Rajapaksa, national organizer of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, stated that discussing the proposal to remove Deshabandhu Tennakoon while a court case is ongoing could lead to injustice.
No, the ruling party has the right to appoint a committee. However, if discussing a matter that is before the court does not influence the judiciary, it could still be unfair to the affected parties.
What is the stance of the main opposition, the Samagi Janapala Wegaya?
It should be handled through Parliament. The leader of the opposition has already made a statement that the appointment was inappropriate. As the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, we have also filed a fundamental rights case against him.
If the proposal is removed on the 10th, a 3-member committee should be appointed, and based on its recommendations, the proposal to remove the Inspector General of Police will need to be approved by Parliament again.
Meanwhile, the CID has launched an investigation into the misuse of the President's Fund. The Criminal Investigation Department has reported to the Fort Magistrates Court that investigations have commenced into 22 former ministers and MPs accused of misusing presidential funds. This was reported through a B report. The CID has sought court approval to examine the account records of these ministers and MPs who allegedly received funds from the presidential fund.
Newsfirst with the people.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
Tokyo Super, ඕන වැඩකට super. විහිළු නෙමේ Tokyo Super, ඕන වැඩකට super.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka on Friday on a 3-day official visit. Details of the Indian Prime Minister's visit were clarified during today's cabinet decision media briefing.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will arrive in Sri Lanka on the 4th of April, and there are several events planned for the 5th and 6th of April. On the 5th of April, there will be a welcoming ceremony for Prime Minister Modi at the Independence Square. Following that, there will be bilateral discussions with the President, and then both leaders will address the media. Subsequently, the inauguration of the Sampur solar power project and the installation of the solar power system at several religious sites will take place, along with the opening of the Dambulla facility from Colombo. On the 6th of April, Prime Minister Modi will visit the Sri Mahabodhi in Anuradhapura. During the visit, the existing railway signalling system in Anuradhapura will be inaugurated and ongoing road construction work will be reviewed. These are the planned events. During the visit, the government aims to finalize several bilateral agreements in areas such as energy, health, digital economy and defence. We will discuss all these matters in detail after the bilateral discussions.
Sri Lanka Police announced that special traffic and security plans will be implemented in Colombo and several other areas due to Prime Minister Modi's visit.
On the 4th of April, between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m., the Colombo-Katunayake Expressway and Baseline Road will be intermittently closed. We advise individuals travelling to Katunayake International Airport during this time to plan their journeys accordingly. On the 5th of April, roads in Golf Phase area, Independence Square vicinity and the Apegama premises in Battaramulla will also be intermittently closed. The Sri Lanka Police request all drivers and the public to cooperate with this special traffic plan.
සියලුම රියදුරන්ගෙන් මෙන්ම සියලුම මහජනතාවගෙන් ශ්‍රී ලංකා පොලිසිය කාරුණිකව ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා.
The local government election Sri Lanka 2025.
The Court of Appeal ordered the National Election Commission to accept only the nomination papers for the local government elections that include original birth certificates, which were previously rejected.
This order was issued following an agreement reached in court regarding the acceptance of nomination papers with original birth certificates. The court also directed the Attorney General to obtain instructions from the respondents and present arguments regarding the possibility of accepting other rejected nomination papers. Consequently, the Court of Appeal issued an interim order preventing the implementation of election-related activities for local government institutions based on the rejected nomination papers, except for those ordered to be accepted. The Court of Appeal issued this order while reviewing nearly 30 petitions filed by several parties, including the United People's Freedom Alliance, the Sarva Jana Balaya, and independent groups against the rejection of nomination papers submitted to various local government institutions, including the Colombo Municipal Council. The petitions were reviewed today by the Court of Appeal bench comprising Acting President Mohammad Lafar Tahir and Judge K.P. Fernando. The petitions are scheduled to be reviewed again tomorrow.
Latest reports indicate that around 2,886 people have died in the deadly earthquake that struck Myanmar last week. Search operations for the missing continue unabated, and today marks the third day of the National Mourning Week, as declared by the military junta.
Crisis in Myanmar.
As per reports, 373 people are still missing and 4,639 people have been injured in the aftermath of the disaster. However, what Myanmar is facing is not a crisis that can easily be managed. According to international media reports, approximately 180,000 buildings have been destroyed by the earthquake.
Internal war and military actions.
The military junta, which has been running Myanmar since 2021, has been obstructing the flow of information amid the crisis. Despite the severity of the situation, the junta has not ceased its attacks on rebel groups.
Attacks on aid convoy.
The Myanmar military junta launched an attack on an aid convoy that was heading towards affected areas yesterday. The military stated that the attack occurred because the convoy did not inform them about its aid delivery.
Will there be a ceasefire?
Although rebel groups have called for ceasefire in quake-affected areas, junta leader Min Aung Hlaing has made it clear that he is not in agreement with such a move. He is also scheduled to attend a summit in Bangkok tomorrow and the day after.
43 earthquakes in 24 hours.
In the last 24 hours, the US Geological Survey has reported 43 earthquakes globally, including in countries like Pakistan, Tonga, Myanmar, Fiji Islands, Japan, Vanuatu, the Pacific Antarctic Ridge, Solomon Islands and Afghanistan. Meanwhile, experts have warned that Mount Spur in Alaska, one of the largest active volcanoes, could erupt soon. Scientists have noted signs of volcanic activity, increasing the risk of an eruption. Meanwhile, the Asia-Pacific Alliance for Disaster Management launched an emergency response following the devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake that struck Myanmar's Sagaing region on the 28th of March.
APAD International, through its search and rescue partner GEA, a Turkish search and rescue NGO, deployed to Myanmar via worked closely with the Connecting Business Initiative to facilitate GEA's success to Myanmar, ensuring substantial support to ongoing life-saving efforts. On the fifth day after the quake, rescue teams achieved a breakthrough. A 26-year-old hotel staff member was successfully pulled from the rubble of the Aichantar Hotel in Naypyidaw by GEA and Myanmar rescue workers. After being trapped for nearly a week, he was found alive and in good health. Meanwhile, Peace Winds Japan, APAD International's sister organization, has also deployed emergency teams and is currently stationed in Bangkok, Thailand. APAD International continues its efforts on the ground, working to deliver urgent relief to those in need, with a goal in mind to leave no one behind.
He's smiling. I can see he's smiling. We see you, okay? We are very close now, okay? And we...
The Food Policy and Safety Committee has recommended the importation of rice to ensure an uninterrupted supply for consumers. This decision was made during the committee's fifth meeting, chaired by Agriculture, Livestock, Land and Irrigation Minister K.D. Lal Kantha and Trade, Commerce, Food Safety and Cooperative Development Minister Vasantha Samarasinghe, held yesterday at the Presidential Secretariat. Despite the ongoing harvest season, the committee observed a rise in rice prices and a shortage of certain rice varieties in the market. The discussions focused on drawing the Cabinet's attention to the need for rice imports to maintain adequate stock levels.
Good news! Says what's next year 10 strong.
History at the A level.
Yes, yes, but are you worried? This is the student parliament.
Prefect. Saturday and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. on TV1.
කන්තලේ මධ්‍ය මහාවිද්‍යාලීය ක්‍රීඩාංගණයට අප්‍රේල් 19 දවස පුරා
අවුරුදු සිරියෙන් පුරවන්න ඔයාලත් එන්න.
අවුරුදු කුමරා කුමරිය
බයිසිකල් ධාවන තරගය.
ඔරුපැදීමේ තරගය සහ ජන ක්‍රීඩා රසක් සමග.
කුරුණෑගල බැජී සංගීතයට ජනප්‍රිය ගායක ගායිකාවන් ගී ගයන.
නැගෙන හිරට අවුරුදු.
අප්‍රේල් 19 වනදා දවස පුරා.
කන්තලේ මැදිවිදුහල ක්‍රීඩාංගණයේදී.
Welcome back to the news. The Sri Lankan government plans to develop 3 cities as heritage cities in Sri Lanka, namely Jaffna, Kandy and Anuradhapura. The country's Prime Minister disclosed the plan during an international expert conference dedicated to the safeguarding of the sacred city of Anuradhapura in France.
The International Expert Conference dedicated to the safeguarding of the sacred city of Anuradhapura, a World Heritage Site in Sri Lanka, is co-organized by UNESCO and the Government of Sri Lanka. The UNESCO conference focuses on the sustainable safeguarding of Anuradhapura through the lens of the Integrated Heritage Management Program for the ancient city of Anuradhapura.
Today, Anuradhapura has grown beyond recognition. In the classical sociological sense, Anuradhapura is a unique mix of the sacred, activities belonging to the spiritual realm, and the profane, relating to the everyday and material realm. Its conservation is complex, yet essential. Anuradhapura's heritage is worth preserving not just for Sri Lanka, but for its universal value, as has been acknowledged by UNESCO. Current excavations suggest that Anuradhapura's earlier settlements date back as early as 900 BCE. We firmly believe that history and archaeology can play a significant role in educating people about our common heritage and also how different traditions and histories have enriched each other. But all of this means managing different and perhaps even competing or conflicting interests. The lives of the present inhabitants of the city, its heritage and archaeological value, the needs of local and international tourists may not always be aligned. This is the challenge before us. Balancing the needs of Anuradhapura's inhabitants, heritage and tourism is a challenge, but its importance is undeniable. Our proposal goes beyond Sri Lanka. It is about preserving global heritage. This requires sustained expertise, resources, and collaboration, making this conference crucial in uniting key contributors. Our government plans to develop 3 cities as heritage cities in Sri Lanka: Anuradhapura, Jaffna, and Kandy. We selected these cities for the moment because each of these cities represents what we think is a unique characteristic spirit that represents some aspect of the Sri Lankan identity. Whether it is the resilience of Jaffna, the multiculturalism of Trincomalee, or the spirituality of Anuradhapura, multiculturalism of Kandy, I beg your pardon. These cities encapsulate some of the best of Sri Lanka that we want to protect and share with the rest of the world.
The conference brought together global heritage experts, national authorities, community leaders and international development agencies such as the World Bank, the Japan International Cooperation Agency or JICA, the Korea International Cooperation Agency and the French Development Agency to explore integrated approaches to heritage management.
Namini Vijayadasa, an award-winning Sri Lankan journalist with over 30 years of experience, received the U.S. Secretary of State's 2025 International Women of Courage Award.
I'm a journalist, and that's how I want people to see myself, and that's how I've made people see myself. The corruption story is unfortunately not going to end, and the impact I want to have is not to change governments. I want systems to change. I want laws to be put in place. I want institutions to be strengthened so that people are not able to abuse them, and that is what we have as investigative journalists always fought for, and that's what I will keep fighting for.
Namini Vijayadasa, an award-winning Sri Lankan journalist with over 30 years of experience, received the U.S. Secretary of State's 2025 International Women of Courage Award.
Namini Vijayadasu from Sri Lanka is an award-winning investigative journalist, initially chronicling the human toll of Sri Lanka's civil conflict and while working to combat corruption to bring accountability to those in power. Her work not only aims to hold the most powerful accountable, but also fosters dialogue on reconciliation, paving the way for a new generation of reporters. Namini Wajidasa.
Throughout my life, I have harnessed the power of love as a source of strength during challenging times. Love has inspired me to embrace forgiveness, nurture empathy, and exhibit bravery in the face of unforeseen obstacles. Today, we celebrate courage, a strength that is based in love. This truth is illustrated through our honorees, who prove that love can inspire extraordinary valor, even in the face of vulnerability. Their remarkable stories, a testament to the power of love in practice for family, community, and our world.
Now in its 19th year, the Secretary of State's IWOC Award recognizes women from around the world who have demonstrated exceptional courage, strength and leadership, often at great personal risk and sacrifice. Since 2007, the Department of State has recognized more than 200 women from over 90 countries with the IWOC Award.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1.
Thank you for watching. Take care. Good night.